Welcome to Message Reveal. Message Reveal identifies a vibe, a message, or a story told through lyrics of a song. And you guys, I am so excited. We have such a special guest, and I am just truly honored. But you guys know how I do. Before we get started, I tell you a few things that's associated with my special guest. And I do mean a few things because she has a plethora of reference and things that she's done, but we'll go with the three. One, she's a native of Detroit, so we like to big up wherever someone is from. Number two, she is a journalist, and we'll find out more information about that. And last but definitely not least, she's an author, and we'll definitely find out some more about that if you can see what I have here. But you guys, please put your hands together and welcome my beautiful friend. Her name is Miss Denise Crittendon. I think I got it right.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Hallema, for that incredible introduction. I'm so excited. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. First, I just have to say thank you so much for saying yes to me. I so appreciate you, beautiful lady.
The feeling's mutual.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you. So, anytime I have my guests on, I always ask this one particular question. What makes you tick? What makes your blood boil? What moves you along throughout the day?
Oh, that's an interesting one because I'm on this path that I just believe that we need to focus more on the fact that we're spirits and not human. I mean, I've been on that path for a while, but I'm conscious of it. So as I move through the day, I like to remind myself that to pull back and observe. We're always going to take life seriously, but also understand that we're kind of like living out a play or a movie or a dream, an inner dream. We're taking it to the outer world and just kind of like um, take it for what it is and learn from it, but don't overreact to everything. Yes, that's the way I move through my day. And I consider myself a compassionate person. And so I'm always paying attention to what other people are going through.
I love that. I agree with you. I have to check myself and say, okay, slow down sometime because I will get immersed in what I'm doing. And what I
Yeah.
also know that the spirit works for my better good. So sometime if I'm running late or I'm delayed, all of that is for my better good. And it's a form of protection. It's a form of moving me
Ah,
in other directions that my higher self, is telling me where I need to be from my perspective.
that, exactly. Paying attention to your higher self. And you're right, Alina, because we do sometimes beat up on ourselves like, I should have done this, I should have been here. But actually, there are no mistakes in the universe. That's what I hear you saying. And
Yes.
so you're always on path, right?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. I love that we are. I have to just tell this story real fast, if you don't mind, how we initially met.
Yeah.
And that will play into what we're talking about. So, I initially went to Whole Food to purchase this one particular organic chicken sausage that I make for my lasagna. And I had been there before, and the guy told me, come back again. And I came back, and guess what? It was not there. And I said to myself before I turned, I said, I know this is not here, but I'm here for a reason, and nothing happened by accident. And I happened to turn and I see this beautiful lady. I had no idea who you were, but it was like you were gliding across the store, and I saw your beautiful sister locks, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go over there and say something to this lady. And it was like a magnet that pulled me into you, and we began to engage in conversation. And I can truly say I'm blessed. I was just telling my girlfriend about how I met you, and I said, boy, that was not an accident. Even though I thought I was going for one thing, again, going back to how we said the universe is always taking care of business, I end up meeting you. Do you remember that particular day?
Oh, I'm not gonna forget it. I mean, first of all, just like going through the store and I stopped. I wasn't supposed to stop. I just had to, it hit me. Just you're in an area, just run in there and get this one thing, whatever. And then I felt the same way. This radiantly beautiful person comes up to me and just starts asking about my locks, and you were the one who was glowing, in my opinion. And we got into this interesting conversation about why I locked, and I was sharing with you how the one tree, like the oak tree, isn't its leaves aren't trying to be like the weeping willow tree and all that. And we just had um yeah, an uplifting talk and connected. So yeah, I won't forget that easily.
Yes. And I love how you talked about the different, because one of my spills I always say to anyone, everybody grows at different time. You have the trees, you have the grass, and you
Mhm.
have the flowers. Everybody has its time and it's the way it grows. And when you said that, I was like, this lady, who is she? So with that being said, I found out clearly a little bit of who you are, and with that being said, let's talk about your book. I did
Mhm.
mention that you were author, and
Mhm.
let's talk about your book. I have it here, and it's Where Color, excuse me, When It Rains in Color. I love the title. Can you tell us the impetus for the book and anything else you would like to share about it?
Well, there's a lot there to talk about, but before I begin, because this show focuses on how we're moved by music and song, I would like to say that when uh, music reaches a certain frequency, a certain octave, it becomes color. So I play with that theme a little bit in the book. I mean, you have to really be paying attention to pick it up. But the book was inspired by a dream. So there are a lot of factors that went into it. I've been a journalist for like all of my life. And so I was working for a newspaper, the Detroit News. I was a newspaper reporter. And one night I had this dream about this woman standing there. She's on a kind of a cliff, and these beings are saying, "We sentence you to the keloid planet." And she's talking about speaking in the Anekotech tongue. I had no idea what was going on. Just these characters. So I woke up, jotted it down, and had to get ready for work. And that wasn't the first time I'd had a creative dream like that, but this one really, really stood out. And it sat in the drawer for I don't know how long, those notes. And then I finally had this break in between jobs. I left the Detroit News and I hadn't decided what I was going to do next. And then I was offered a job at a newspaper, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. I actually turned it down because they couldn't wait, because I had this block of time. And I said, this is my chance to write my novel that I've been wanting to write. Pulled out the notes, started working on it, didn't do anything with it. It didn't go anywhere. It wasn't ready yet. I didn't know that, but it was written. It sat in the drawer for another so many years. While I took another job, I took a job as editor of the NAACP's Crisis magazine, and I was the first woman in that job, by the way. So then, when I left there, I took another job. That job was so consuming. I took a job in Kansas City at a newspaper there, came back to Detroit, and was hired to work as editor or to launch a magazine called African American Family Magazine. I was there 9 years. Some things happened. I won't go into it. And then I had a couple of deaths in my family, my niece and my mom, and I was just suddenly out here. And I thought about, what about that novel that has been sitting in the drawer forever? And I pulled it out. And along the way, I have been getting a lot of messages, a lot of inspiration. So the novel came in a dream, but I needed to grow and develop. I needed to learn more about melanin. And I needed to have this fire lit under me. And the fire that was being lit along the way over those years while the novel was sitting in the drawer just alone, the ideas that were percolating was like, why are Black women constantly being pushed back? I didn't understand why society just seemed to have this focus on making sure that Black women were not, at the top. Do you understand what I'm saying? Even to the point
Absolutely.
that that Psychology Today ran an article that someone had the gall to publish his research proving that Black women weren't as attractive. And I was angered because I felt like, who wastes energy, all the issues, all the problems in the world, who wastes energy on that kind of research? And my other reaction was, excuse me, what? And the reporter who had to report this ridiculous research was Tamarin Hall. who, as you know, is beautiful. And I thought, you know what? That's in the back of my mind. I'm a Trekkie and I was watching Star Trek and they went to an all-black planet. And it was interesting, but it didn't go as deep as I would have liked to have gone. So all this was going on in my head. So when I sat down, pulled the novel back out to explore it, this dream even further and develop it more, all this was on my mind. And I had since then also learned about the Dogon tribe of Mali, West Africa. But I'm going on and on. I'll tell you a little bit more about the Dogon tribe later and why they're also factored in this book. But I said all that to give you the background of the book. I haven't even told you what it's about. So,
Well, please, please go on. I'm listening with like good ears. I want to hear everything.
okay, so the book is set on a planet I created called Swazembe. The Earth is no more. And here we are in the future, 5,000 years in the future. Years earlier, many, many years earlier, the Dogon tribe of Mali colonized the planet. Now, the Dogon tribe, they're interesting because Swazembe is not real. It's a figment of my imagination. But the Dogon are very real. And they live in an area called the Bandiagara Cliffs in West Africa. And they were charting stars long before astronomers in the West were. Before astronomers in the West discovered it, they had knowledge of a star called Sirius B. And I guess some anthropologists went through their village and they were talking about the star. And the anthropologists were like, there is no such star. What are you talking about? Fast forward, in the West, the Hubble telescope is developed and they discover, wait a minute, there is a star there. So they go back to the Dogon. How do you know about this? The Dogon live in huts, they have no technology. And they said beings came to them on a spinning arc from space and taught them everything about the cosmos. And indeed, their knowledge was vast and a lot more intricate than the knowledge of astronomers in the West. Their information about Sirius B has come to be known as the Dogon mythology. But my question as I was rewriting the book is, how could you call it mythology when it's true? And if they're saying to you that we got this information from these other beings, they call them nomos, then I believe them because it's not false information. And where did it come from? So when you write speculative fiction, and I should have started out by saying this is science fiction. When you write speculative fiction, you are answering the question, what if? So my what if is, what if these beings told the Dogon, but if some of you want to come with us, we'll take you to another world because transatlantic slave trade is getting ready to happen. And we can get you out of here. What if some of them went and developed another planet? So here it is. I created another planet called Swazembe. And on this planet, dark skin is revered. They are not being exposed to all of the social conditioning and all the negativity that we experience here on Earth. So they have no reason not to honor their melanin. And indeed, they are melanin is actually highly regarded throughout the entire galaxy. And so we have a woman that you see on the color, Lalila, and she is the most beautiful woman in the galaxy. And she's known as the rare indigo and celebrated for her dark skin that shimmers like a diamond. But, problems are lurking and some things happen, and she has to go off world to an asteroid where she discovers that she's much more than how she looks. And she goes inside and taps into this vast reservoir of knowledge, and she becomes like telepathic. And she begins to enter the souls of the ancestors who once roamed the late Earth. And those ancestors are really ancestors, of course. But also, she begins communicating with the Dogon. And so that's what the novel is all about.
I love it. I love that you're sharing this. It's somewhere that some young lady or young man will see this and say, wow, these thoughts that I have in my head, or I call them downloads that you have, can now be put into paper and share with everyone. I love
Mhm.
that you also are uninstalling the program of beauty.
Mhm.
We have been installed with a program that you only must look one way. I don't believe
Yes.
in that. I believe there's 7 lanes within one path. I say 7 because it's my favorite number. But
Yeah.
you go into the lane that supports you, that works with you, and it doesn't mean that the other lanes are not valid. And
Right.
I love that you are talking about these things that really resonate with us right now today with the color of our skin.
Right. Because colorism is still alive and well in our community, and it's sad. So in this novel, I celebrate the spectrum. So the lighter women are tawny, or they're tawny dramatic. The darker women are indigo, or they're like my protagonist, they're rare indigo. And it's just time to come out of the closet with all this, um, like sense of superiority over something like skin tone. It's like all of it is beautiful. And as you said, right now, it's relevant because we're learning that so much of what we're dealing with in society is a social construct. They're saying race, no, they're saying gender is a social construct. Some are saying race is a social construct. But you know what's really a social construct? Beauty. It's fabricated, it's conditioning. We don't even see with our eyes. We see through the lens of social condition.
Yes, I like that you brought that up. One thing I always say, I try the spirit by the spirit. If your spirit is
Yeah.
beautiful, I align with it. I don't care what color, what uh who you are. If your spirit is aligned with my spirit, then we work together. And that's just
Wow.
how it is.
Yeah. 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 I love your insights. I love your obvious spirituality. You know, you're not just talking it, you're living it. I can tell.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It has really given me a sense of peace,
Mhm.
and to understand that this is my
Mhm.
perspective. All of what I'm encountering, I chose to be a part of this.
Mhm.
And I forgot somewhere along the way so I can go through and learn the lessons to elevate to a higher level. But that's just my perspective. So,
You're definitely there. And you know, and I should add, I didn't say this, the novel is called Where It Rains in Color because on the planet of Swazembe, it does literally rain in color. On the surface of the planet, there are these kind of electromagnetic colors. They're like colored mists that are floating across the surface, and they're absolutely beautiful. But because the colors are electromagnetic, they live underground. You can't stay in the colors forever. You know, you can go up there and visit and roam through them, but it's too damaging. However, the colors work well with the melanin in their skin. So if they have an injury, see, we have not even begun to tap the surface of what the powers of melanin. Swazembe, they understand how melanin can be used, so they use it to live longer. They live to be about 400 or 500 years old. But also, if they have an injury, they go to the surface, and with the electromagnetic colors and with the melanin in their skin, they can hold up their arm or whatever their injury is, and they can self-heal. So they can,
wow.
right. But they live underground in this absolutely fantastic city. You know, it's like a technological wonder underground.
A utopia.
Yes, definitely a utopia.
I love it. You make me want to go visit. I know this is fiction, but everything you're saying makes me want to go visit. And the mere fact you talked about melanin, we're now discovering that the more you have, we all have certain amounts of melanin, but the darker your skin is, from my understanding, the more you have, and it can
Right.
add to different things spiritually. So I won't go into detail with that, but I love that you use that component in your book.
Right. It's time that why aren't we making a bigger deal out of our gifts? We're so busy trying to emulate other cultures, other races, and even you have parts of the world, some maybe a little in the US, but not as much, but parts of Africa, where women are actually damaging their skin because they're trying to bleach it. And do you know that um that skin bleaching creams and all of that, I hate to say it, but it's $1 billion industry. And there are some parts of uh, Africa where they had to literally ban it because the women, they're creating sores on their skin. There are beautiful, beautiful melanin, something that protects our skin from UV rays of the sun, something that slows the aging process, and we're trying to destroy it. It's just sad. So it's time for us to have a little fun with this, like our unique qualities,
Yes, yes. I love that you brought that up. And I am a student right now because I did not know it was $1 billion industry for
Yeah,
skin bleaching. So
yeah,
that's sad. And here's my thing. We all play a part by you bringing it up today, by me knowing more. Now we can be aware and we can start to uplift and look at things in a different way.
right. Hopefully. And what we're doing today, Halima, we're planting seeds.
Yes,
So
yes.
some someone might hear it and think, huh, never thought about that. And might forget about it, then they hear it again somewhere. Then after a while you start to think about it. And I'm trying to how can I put it? I'm trying to change the narrative. I'm trying to wake us up a little more so that we're claiming our power. I don't want us going into the future with the same old baggage. One of my favorite quotes is, the past may be stained, but the future is absolutely spotless. So
Ooh,
this future that's unfolding in front of us, what kind of a stamp do we want to put on it? Marcus Garvey even said that people, as people of African descent, we need to always be looking ahead at the future. Martin Luther King had a dream that has not even been realized yet. And Maya Angelou says that we're the hope and the dream of the slave, but we need to keep dreaming. What do we want for tomorrow? What do we expect to see? Do we think that we're going to be left out? Well, this space exploration, believe in it or don't believe in it, we're here and we want to be part of it too. And we want something grander than what we have now.
absolutely, absolutely. I believe in that charge, and let's start creating because I know where our energy goes, where our attention goes, our energy goes. So let's take
Right.
our energy and put it towards the future and create what you want because we are creative beings. I don't care who you are, what your color are, what color
Mhm.
of your skin is, we're creative beings. So we have to project what we want because we project the opposite. We're now creating something that we don't want. So let's project what we want into the future.
What we do, right, right. I agree 100%. Because some people were thinking, I could tell by their reaction, well, why fantasy, especially since I'm a journalist, why fantasy, why science fiction? And I'm like, because we have to claim it. We don't have to get stuck. And so I just felt like as we move into tomorrow, let's create a new Black aesthetic. Let's catapult us into tomorrow into space as leaders of the galaxy. I mean, I
Well,
don't want to just keep focusing. Yeah,
yeah. Well, we're definitely leaders of the
looking
galaxy. I'm sorry you were breaking
right,
out.
looking back. Oh, looking back is good, but
Yeah.
let's take that. Isn't that what Sankofa means? You
Mm-hmm.
return to the past to let it inform your future, but you don't get stuck in the past. I think that we, as people of African descent, we're a little too stuck in the past and a little too stuck in now thinking, even though that's important. You have to map out the future. You have to. And
No,
there are
I
some of the vanguard. Yeah.
I definitely agree.
And
We
science
have.
fiction writers out there. Yeah. Look at
I'm so.
Octavia Butler. Am I still breaking up?
Yeah, you
Can
were
you hear me?
breaking up a little. Now I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, look at Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower, that they're saying it's a dystopian world, but they're saying that it's the excellent picture of what's going on now. That happens so much. Look at Ray Bradbury with his Fahrenheit 451 science fiction, and he was Fahrenheit 451, the temperature at which paper burns because they were burning books. Let's look at what's happening now with banning books. When you look at so much science fiction, the science fiction writers are visionary. Not that I'm going to be a visionary, but we got to have somebody looking at it.
No, I do think, again, if we are creating our own reality, why can't you
Yeah,
not be a visionary and put it into play? And I think truly that's what's happening. People go, oh, how did they come up with that? They were
yeah,
projecting their reality out and it came into
right,
fruition. That it was
yeah,
like birthing a baby.
right, right. Or paying attention and seeing what's coming, and just like, as writers, we're artists, so there's this, giant canvas, and we're just painting something new, something
Yes.
different. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I love it. It has meat, potatoes, it has all that good stuff. I know you're a vegetarian, but it's just a hearty meal that you were able to give us, and I appreciate that. So we're going to back just a little and we're going to talk about music. I love music. Music has turned me all the way out in a good way, but I love it. I love it. So I always ask this one particular question. Can you identify a song that has blessed you, given you distraction, or giving you perspective in life? Now, before you answer the question, there's rules to this. Now, if you can sing, I need you to sing your throwback song. If you can't sing, if you can rap, I need you to come hard in the paint and rap. But if you cannot do either one of those, I see you. If you cannot do any one of those, say it bold, say it with passion, and give your perspective. So now, can you identify one of those three? Blessing, perspective, or distraction?
Uh, perspective, perspective. My favorite song in the world that I love, that moves me, and a couple times I like cried when I heard it. I literally tears rolling down my cheeks, and I have to hear it sung by uh Vanessa Williams because she puts more passion into it, and it's "The Colors of the Wind," which ironically my book title says tied in. She's, you know, he says, I can, you think you own every land you land on, and the earth is just some dead thing you can claim. But I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name. You know, and she goes on to say, what is it? Uh, why? What is it? Can you sing with all the voices of the mountain? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? It is just such a beautiful song, and it speaks to me because I like connecting with nature, and I believe that we're one. I really do. And this song touches on all of that. And when she says the rainstorm and the river are my brothers, the what is the lion and the cheetah are my friends, and we are all connected to each other in a circle in a book that never ends. So that's the song that just
I
touched.
love that. I've never had anyone give that one. And what a great perspective, because if we really dial down and understand that we're all connected, we would probably treat each other just a little bit different.
Oh,
I
we would. I love that you said that. We think that, I've heard, spiritual teachers say that. The problem is you think that that person is over there, or you think that everything is separate. Yeah.
and by being connected, I think it gives you a different perspective. And
Yeah.
when you know something is connected to you protect it a little bit better. You take care of it, you wipe it off, you make sure it has a proper home. So I think if we continue to think in that mindset, we will be a little bit more gentle with each other. Let me say this. I think that the majority of us do operate in that manner. I do think it's this 10% that is out here clowning and getting our attention and really taking us off our path because they're so loud and they're making so much noise and everybody is looking. You know, like for example, you can have many doors, but the door that has the squeaky opening, everybody's like looking when it opens and they're being distracted from all the beauty here on the other side.
Wow, that's beautiful. You said that because I needed that reminder because let's say you said it's the 10%. Well, 10% out of like 7.5 billion people, that's how many people are on the planet. That's a whole lot of people. And so it can trick us into believing that that is the world and that's the majority because, my math is bad, but 10% of 7 billion, that's pretty vast. So yeah.
And
So
I do believe that to be true. It's places I've traveled and no one looks like me, but the blessings that they have provided for me has been
mhm.
so good. And it's because again, that 10% is out there doing the thing and we're like watching that 10%. But just think if we take our attention from that 10%, they need our attention in order to be who they are. And if we take our 10% attention or take the attention off the 10% and focus on the love, the interaction, the encouragement, the guidance, where would we be?
Wow. Yeah, that would be wonderful. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Yeah.
Yes, yes. So anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go into all of that
No,
detail.
please do, because I believe in morphic resonance. So when an idea reaches critical mass, then we're all affected. So if more of us were thinking like you, we're perfectly big in
Oh,
regard. Yeah.
well, thank you. Thank you. So let's take our boat and go back to music.
Okay.
I know as a child, it's songs that I've sung, and I mean, oh, girl, I was singing it. And then I became an adult, and I was like, wait, 1 minute. That's not what I thought it was all about. Can you identify a song that you sung as a child, and then you realize as an adult what it actually means?
Well, this question is hard for me because I grew up in the Motown era, and a lot of that music was what we now call codependent music, that I'll die if you leave me music, that you can beat me, you can do this to me, and I'll be a fool for you kind of. I remember getting older and calling up a girlfriend and saying, I guess I had my first little heartbreak, and I was like, that stuff they were singing, that was real. But I couldn't identify a specific song. I can't because there's so many of them, so I can't think of one. But I can think, and this one's really funny because I was actually an adult when I realized when I heard "Let It Rip," and then I was an older adult when I realized what they were talking about. And they were saying, "We are here to have some fun, so let it rip." I thought they were dancing.
I thought that you're talking about the Gap Band song with Let It.
I think is it LTD or the Gap Band?
Oh, well, I could be wrong, but I thought it was the Gap Band. But yes, please give me your perspective because I need to be the student right now.
Well, I thought it's just a fun little funny song, "Let It Whip, Let It Whip." But apparently, "Let It Whip," they were saying, let's kind of let's get it on. Marvin Gaye said, "Let's get it on." Right? Yeah. Uh,
Oh,
yeah. And then, as a kid, there was "A Whole World Is a Stage" by the Fantastic Four, and I and they say the whole world is a stage and everyone's playing a part. And they said the stage is set, the scene is set, and something about the scene's a broken heart, something like that. And then he says that how much he loved this woman, and then one day she forgot her makeup, and last I saw the real you. Well, as an adult, that song came to meaning to me when you find out that when you've been betrayed and you find out people aren't always who they say they are. And I reflected back on that song. That's what they were talking about. So those are my two examples.
That was great examples. You giving us some wisdom and some things to think about, and that's why I not like I love music. That it
Hmm.
can have one meaning at one stage of your life,
Right,
another meaning at the middle of your life, and maybe at the end it may mean something totally different. So it's so subjective in how you see it, but
right,
it gives you can dial down and kind of take pieces and you go, oh, that applies to this, that applies to
right.
that.
Yes. You didn't even think about it. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So I need you to take a memory lane back
Hmm.
and go to your childhood. And what I mean by that is we've all had the opportunity as a child to purchase either a song or a particular artist that we just absolutely love. And we were able to do it on our own because maybe we had birthday money or maybe we had Christmas money, but it was influenced by no one but ourselves. Can you think of a particular song, album, or anything that you purchased on your own that you can share with us?
Well, I guess it would be The Temptations. This album is called The Tempting Temptations,
Mm.
and I kept that album for years, and I still remember it because it has tape all around the edges because it, you know, that's how old it is. And I eventually, a friend of mine has bought a turntable, so I had taken all of my old albums and to an old record shop to get rid of them, but I kept a few that I wanted to hold on to, so gave it to this friend. That way, I always know where it is, right? But that has special meaning because of a few stories. One, a friend, my girlfriend and I loved the Temptations back then. Like I said, I'm from that Motown era. And we used to go to the Motown reviews. Have you heard of those?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, when you grow up in Detroit and at the Fox Theater, and there was this Motown review every year around the holidays. And my girlfriend's father, we may have been about 13, dropped us off drop us off early in the morning. The doors didn't open until 12 noon. Only kids do this. We would get up at like 7 or 8 in the morning, dead of winter, and just stand there, freezing in the cold. And there weren't that many people there. Then, as the day wore on, the line would start to grow, but we were at the front of the line because we were crazy. And, and then the doors would open at 12 noon after standing all that time. And then when the door opened, because there wasn't assigned seating, you would run like heck to get that seat. And we were always in the like the first or second row. And then we would stay for all three shows and we were there. And so we were up front watching the Temptations. And that was our thing. And so I had my album and I would take it over whenever I visited her and all that. And I remember this was really interesting that I grew up, got a job at the Detroit News, and I was working in their features section first. And I was assigned to do an interview with the Temptations. And I wanted to be able to call my girlfriend Claudia and say, come on with me, we're going to go. But by then, her life had changed and she had gotten on drugs and, just
Hmm.
stuff. And I was like, oh, that would have been too bad. But anyway, that's the whole story behind it. And I'm really annoyed that the album that I have now is not the original one because a guy that I dated in college heard my version of We All Need Love, and Eddie Kendricks adds another little melody to the end of mine that's not on his, and he forced me to trade it.
Oh,
I said no, but if somebody's bigger than you and stronger, I know.
girl, you know what? It's another side to me. Me and him would have, it
What a
would have
fuck.
been, I'm sorry. I love you, but I've been like, me and you gonna have a knockdown, or I'm gonna have to get somebody to come get that album back. Do
It's
you do you remember one particular song that you remember the lyrics that really stands out on that particular album?
Whoa, okay. Well, let me see. I guess it would be the classic one, My Girl. I
Yeah.
got I got sunshine on a rainy day, and when it's cold outside, I've even got the month of May. And back then, they would act out the lyrics. We were so corny back then. So they thought, I got sunshine. And then when it was cold outside, I even got, you know. So yeah, that
I
one.
love it. That's a classic. I think it was about 7 years ago. I had to do a presentation. We had some time in between because it was something going on. And I told them, I said, let's talk about My Girl. And I sung the song and I had the audience. And I tell you what, that was the best engagement song because everybody know my girl, my girl,
Everyone,
talking about.
all ages, all ages, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Wow.
And it was so engaging and it was so funny. I was just filling time and just having a good time. And I had a lot of the ladies come up afterwards. They was like, that was so fun. Do it again. So I always kept that in the back of my mind. If I had some filler time, songs
Mhm.
like that everybody knows and can participate in, it just brings
Yeah.
element of higher energy into the room.
Yeah, that's amazing to me that, that song might have been what, 1960 or something. And, that music was timeless, actually.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. That's one thing how you can identify a timeless song that it goes from generation to generation to generation.
Mhm.
Example, I had a interview yesterday and the guy talked about Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. That will
Mhm.
never, ever go out of style because we all need to look at ourselves to see where we're at and to be able to change things. We got to look at us first. So
Right. I love that song. I love it.
yeah, and that's timeless too.
Yeah. Man in the Mirror. And I actually love his Earth song too. That's another one that made me cry. Colors of the Wind will make me cry. And the Earth song, oh my God, when he's just talking about the planet Earth and then he starts wailing and he has the hands of dirt and he's standing in the middle of the destroy and I just burst into tears.
Yes, it is a beautiful song. Then he go, "What about us?" And he has the baby
Ah,
there. He
yeah,
really gives you a visual view,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
he gives you a verbal view.
Mhm.
Like, listen, we need to get it together because if we don't, this is what the earth is going to look like. But then he
Right.
shows us a utopia of what it could be
It could
if
be.
we did right. So he gave us both.
Yeah, it could be if we did what you suggested and focused on the 90% instead of the 10%.
Yes, yes. I definitely believe that. I definitely believe that. Um, let's talk about you growing up in Detroit. I went to Detroit in, I think it was 2019. And
Okay.
one thing I really like about Detroit, they are straight shooters. If they like you, they like you. If they don't, they don't. Well,
Okay.
me and Detroit had a good time. They like me. And I get it. I get it. You don't want to, because I say go where you are loved. And to me, Detroit, either they love you or they don't. Can you give us some background of, because you're a native of Detroit, how you see it from your perspective?
Okay, now, because I grew up in Detroit, I'm not real sure what you mean about if Detroiters love you or if they don't love you, but I can say this. Detroiters are real down home, fuzzy wuzzy kind of people. And there are lots of characters in Detroit. Now, I used to say back in the day that, okay, Detroit wasn't a glitzy city, but you will have more fun here because you will have more friends here than anywhere that you ever lived. And I've had people who, being a newspaper reporter, people are moving in from all over the country because, journalists are kind of transient. And so they were always hiring journalists from this place. And they would always say, I didn't like it here at first. But then I met so many people and I got to know so many people and people bond with you and people are close and they support you. So like when I go somewhere, like let's say I have an event going on somewhere, a book signing or something. If you get the word out, she's from Detroit and there are Detroiters living in that city, they'll be the Detroiters love supporting Detroiters. And Detroiters have this habit of being, you know, extra.
That's
So
why
if
I
you look,
say That's why I say either they love you or they don't. They're very, to me, straightforward. Like if they don't like you, they let you know. That's what I mean by that.
And if they love you, they really love you. That
Yes.
that loyalty is there. Detroiters are loyal. And so I kind of laugh with friends about some of the characters. We had the comedian downtown Tony Brown. Then we had the some of the DJs like Martha Jean the Queen. And then there's this guy like when you go to events like concerts or something, there's this older guy, this elderly guy who's always dressed to the nines with a hat, kind of dressed like a pimp. And he was always out there and they called him Mr. Detroit. And they're just everybody has a moniker.
Yes.
So
I love it. I love it. Even, it's so funny. They give you that. I went to, I think it was the last show. What is it? The Detroit Car Show, or what is it called? I can't think of.
show, the auto show,
The
Detroit
auto
auto
show.
show.
And they said that would be the last one in the winter. I don't know if it's changed. That was in 2019. They said they would do it during the spring.
Yes, and I just saw that they switched it back. They put
Okay.
it near the summer, and I was thinking, wow, that's weird. How can they have? I'm so used to the auto show was a winter thing. How do you do it? And it wasn't working, so they had to go back from what I'm.
Yes. Okay, so I think they came up with it in 2019. But
Right.
what I loved about it, I remember going through with walking through all the slush and everything to get to the actual place to go in and see the actual cars. And this one guy, he didn't know me, I didn't know him. And he said, "You." And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "I know you going in to buy a Bentley. I can tell how you look." And I said, "Me?" He said, "Yes, you." And he was like, "Have a good day." And I just kept meeting people like that. And the stories they tell or the stories that they would give me. And it was just so much fun. I really felt at home.
Right. A friend of mine from Seattle who moved to Detroit to write for the Detroit News, she said to me that getting used to Detroit was different because she says everywhere she went, people felt compelled to comment. That was so, and that was one. And then another friend came to my step aerobics class with me with her cousin, and her cousin was visiting. A friend is Ethiopian, but her cousin lived in Germany, so her cousin was visiting from Germany. And then after the step class, she was just saying, "I've never been to a step class like that." She says people were shouting out things and saying things, and they were doing just go in there and get on the step and step. You had to say, "Go, Gail, get it, Gail, do this, go ahead." Or this is my favorite line when you're talking about they're stepping. And he says, "Okay, you got to get it together. You can't mac with a roll on your back." I mean, they were just making up. And so the girl who was from Germany, she hadn't ever experienced anything like that before. So
Wow. It reminds me of when you go down south and you talk with family and everybody has something to say and
well,
but with love, and their
yes,
whole sole goal is to invite you in and make you feel at home. That's
mhm,
what the kind of feeling that I received
yeah,
when I was in Detroit. And
yeah.
I enjoyed it. I want to go back during the spring because I went during the winter time, and also be able to go to Canada, which is right next door. Have you experienced going in and out of Canada as a child to participate in anything over on the other side?
Well, Canada is just Windsor is just right across the river. So we were used to going over there all the time. Matter of fact, when I was with the Detroit News, it was nothing for us to go to lunch in Canada. Like, where do you want to have lunch? Well, let's go to Long's. Okay. You just go across. It's different. It became different after 9/11 because then the borders were tighter and it's just a little harder. You have to have a passport, but it was just nothing to just breeze on over. In fact, when I was a kid, we used to spend Canadian money in Detroit. And it was weird because I remember being in New York or something, and I think I had a Canadian quarter or something, and I gave it to him at the a merchant at a store, and he looked at me, and the expression on his face was, "What are you trying to pull?" Well, it didn't occur to me that you couldn't do that because I was so used to doing that at the time. Yeah.
Wow.
And every summer there's the International Freedom Festival. So the fireworks are a shared event between Detroit and Canada. So if you're watching them on the Detroit River, and then they're watching them on the Detroit River because they're on the other side of the Detroit River. So we share that.
Wow. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Wow.
So definitely go back and go, make sure you have your passport out. Because
Yes.
there was a time you didn't need it, but now you need it.
No,
And
you,
do you have family there? And you have
uh,
family?
no, I don't. I actually went down there regarding some business and personal, but I met some people that were native there, and they
Okay.
took us around even to the Motown house, which looks this big, but on TV it looks this big. And I mean, I just really enjoyed myself. I felt at home, and I definitely will have to go again. Family or not, I have family that I've built out there. How about that?
Yes, yeah. Okay.
So, before we get out of here, I do want to ask you one last question about music. And this is probably one of my favorite ones because it's about high elevation, high energy. For example, if you're out eating and it's someone's birthday and they're singing happy birthday to ya. Before you know it, people are participating. They're not asked to, but they're participating. They're when you leave their family, they embrace you, they say happy birthday. I say all of that to say that it just gives you high energy to see it or participate in it. Can
Hmm.
you identify a song where you were able to be a part of the high energy that they were exhibiting, or you just sit back and you were a spectator on high energy? Can you identify a song?
You mean if I'm out somewhere and some people are singing the song or
It,
it comes
it,
on?
either or, meaning you were out and you heard a particular song come on. I just use Happy Birthday as example. And you're like, wow, you hear the music and you're a part of the crowd participating.
There are so many songs like that. So trying to narrow it down. I mean, there's certain songs that like, Uptown Funk, like whenever anyone hears Uptown Funk, I don't care who you are, what age you are, or where you are, that's the song. But the weird thing is, for me, after I've heard something so many times, then it starts to wear off and it doesn't have that effect. It doesn't as much, but right now I'm really into Afro beats. So
Mm.
if Calm Down, what's the artist's name? Remy. He released
Oh,
it again.
Remy T or something. He played on HBO. He was an actor at one point, correct?
No, he's a young Nigerian guy,
Yes.
and the song is like calm down. So, show me you can calm down, but it's Afro beats, and he
Mhm.
sings it with Selena Gomez, the second version. When that comes on, I really get into it. Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you start to move and start to?
Oh, well, yeah, I can't help it. Yeah, that one, calm down, and then there's another one, Jerusalem. I love Afro beats,
Yes.
the world music. So. And
Yes.
actually, all of it. You know how you have like I grew up roller skating, when one of my skating songs comes on. Of like, you remember that song, "Call Me"? Here's my number and a dime.
Yeah.
Did you?
Call me anytime. Call me if you need someone to talk to. Call
Yeah,
me. Am I singing the right song?
that's the song. Yeah. Or last Motown one, when I'm driving somewhere and I have somebody with me in the car, will always seem to put on "The Girl's All Right with Me" by the Temptations. You know,
Oh,
and that was one that was on a flip side. So if you weren't really into Motown, you might not know it, but that song is just, and everybody, if they hear it, they really get into it. Eddie Kendrick singing "The Girl's All Right." This little
yes.
mine, she doesn't waste my time. And when we're out on a date, what do they say? Other fellows, no, other fellows, uh, wait till I walk away. They try to beat my time, but she always lets them know she's mine, all mine. The girls all right with me. You know the girls are that. Yeah.
Yes, I like that song. It's dun dun dun
Yeah.
dun dun dun. It has a catchy beat.
Feel that old fashioned beat. That's
Mm,
that's that's the true rhythm and blues. We've gotten away from that.
yeah.
Now isn't so rhythm and blues anymore.
I think that we are now looking to enhance it. We have people like Tank, we have Usher, we have all these artists that's getting back into the true form of R&B. And I really think that over COVID, where people were in the house, they were going in and they're listening to all that
Old
older
music.
music, and they're taking it and they're refining it and they're redistributing it. And you have a new, like my babies, my daughter's 13, my son is 16. She goes, "Oh, mom, I love this song." And I'm like, "What?" But because it was out so often and they had to stay home, they're rediscovering stuff that may have been put to the side.
Okay, so that's happening. Yeah, thought Bruno Mars was bringing it back too. So
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. So there are others. You're saying Usher and Tank are doing it too.
Yeah,
Good.
oh, absolutely. And there's so many other ones, Ari Lennox. I mean, I can go on and on. Again, I think it's the 10% that the radio stations are focusing on, and the other 90%, they are showing out. They're doing some wonderful things.
Oh, and Anthony Hamilton, right? Giving me the best of you. Okay.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yes, I love that. Oh, that's a good one. Yes.
That there's certain songs that if they make everyone stop and everyone starts singing. That's one. Everyone starts singing along. Yeah.
Yes, you're gonna make me play that when I get off of this. Giving you the best of me.
I think I'll play it when we get off too.
Well, there we go. We're on that same branch. Well,
Yeah.
I cannot express how honored I am for you to say yes to me and to come on and share pieces of you, your perspective, how you look at life, how you came across with these dreams that turned into this beautiful novel. So I just have to show this again and encourage people to make sure they purchase this book. So before I get out of here, can you please tell my audience about any upcoming events, any things you're working on, any social media handles, anything you'd like to share with my audience?
Okay, thank you. First of all, you can find out everything you need to know about me and the book if you go to my blog site. It's a website, but I have blogs on it too. And it's called denisecrittendon.blog. So that's Denise Crittendon. I guess I should spell my name. Or
Yes.
right there, it's beneath the thing. Crittendon. But denisecrittendon.blog. And I'm trying to take it easier during 24 because I was doing so many signings, so many events. But I will be signing books in DC at the end of this month on February 23rd. And probably other things are going to pop up. I'm going to try not to overdo it because I have another novel coming out soon. This one can be purchased on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You got yours at Barnes and Noble,
Yes.
wherever books are sold. But my agent is waiting, even as we speak, for the second one. The second one was written. She looked at it and she wanted me to expand it. It was 60,000 words. She says we need to get it to 70,000 words, and we need to add on here, expand there, do that. And so that's what I'm going to be doing all week. I've already started, so I can get it to her by the end of the month. And that book, the working title was The Shift, but I'm changing that because I found out that that's an overused title. But the Earth is in a post-shift stage. Something happened, and the Earth still exists, but something happened, and everything evaporated. All the all the inorganic stuff. So anything that's natural, like if it's wood, cotton, whatever, all that's still here, but all the technology is gone and people's memories have been wiped out. And so in this novel, we have people called storytellers who do remember, who have flashbacks, but they're elderly, except there's one little black girl and she has these little flashbacks. They call them plunges. She has them too, but because she's known as bronze. I don't call her black because if you remember, we didn't become black until the 60s when we started identifying with Africa. So they have no knowledge of the past. So they know her skin is brown, so she's known as bronze. So she's a little bronze girl, and she has this ability, and the authorities are incensed. So they're looking for her. So she and her mom are hiding. So,
Wow.
so I think I may change the name to the Bronze Storyteller, but that's a work in progress right now. So that's where I am.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. And if you like, when you actually bring it out, you always have a place here. You can come and talk about your book. I would love to engage with you about that. Again, I really appreciate everything for you saying yes, because you took time out of your busy day to come and talk to me. And before we get out of here, I always say this little thing. I talk about the journey and the destination. The
Mhm.
journey is where we learn and where we grow. The destination is where we celebrate. We have to have a time to celebrate. I think people forget they'll work so hard and they don't do any celebration. But when it's all said and done, we must get back into that journey so we can continue to learn.
Right.
So, with that being said, with my men, when they come on, I salute them, and with my women, I bow. So, I bow to you,
Thank you. What's that?
and I thank you. And I always like to give my guests the last word. Do you have anything you would like to leave with my audience?
Well, if I could leave anything with the audience, I think that what would I say? I think I would say that I don't want to waste this opportunity to say the most important. I think I would say something similar to what you said, Helena. I think it's so important for us to focus on the positive and start learning to live out of our imagination and not our history. And that's another thing that sci-fi does. History is important, but don't just get stuck there. Keep always looking ahead. Keep reinventing yourself. There's someone out here who's watching who has some kind of project or dream or something they want to do. It doesn't even matter what your age is. I'm well beyond the age that you would expect someone to come out with her debut novel. So stay focused, keep believing in yourself. Um, what did Langston Hughes tell us? He said, hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Keep dreaming, people.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you so much, you guys. Please, please put your hands together and thank my wonderful, wonderful guest, Miss Denise Crittendon. Did I say it right?
I'm done. Yes.
Crittendon.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored. The honor is all mine.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'll say this won't be the last because we still have to sit down for lunch.
Can't wait.
Thank you so very much, and I will see you soon.
All right. Okay. All right. Bye-bye.